Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out at the dark space ahead. The UES Defiant moved slowly through the cosmic dust clouds that filled this part of the galaxy. Jake had been a ship captain for 15 years, and he knew danger when he saw it. Right now, his gut told him something was wrong. The Defiant was not a warship. She was built for exploring new places and finding new worlds for humans to live on. Jake and his crew of 200 people had been traveling for 3 months to reach this far corner of space. They were mapping star systems that no human had ever seen before. It was quiet work, but Jake liked it that way. Amy Rodriguez sat at the communications station. She was young but very good at her job. Amy could speak 12 different alien languages, and she understood how most alien technology worked. Right now, she was frowning at her screen. "Captain Morrison, sir, there is something strange happening," Amy said. Her voice was tight with worry. "I am picking up signals from multiple ships. They are big ships, sir, and they are coming this way fast." Jake moved to Amy's station and looked at her readings. The numbers on the screen made his blood run cold. 7 ships were moving toward them from inside the dust cloud. Each ship was at least twice the size of the Defiant. Jake had seen alien ships before, but these were different. These ships looked like they were built for war. "How long until they reach us, Amy?" Jake asked. "Maybe 10 minutes, sir. They are moving very fast, and they are spreading out like they want to surround us." Jake thought quickly. The Defiant had good engines, but she could not outrun 7 ships. They were too far from any human colonies to call for help. The nearest human ship was probably 2 weeks away. Jake and his crew were completely alone. "Oh. Hands, this is the captain," Jake said into the ship's communication system. "We have unknown ships approaching. Everyone report to your stations right now." The bridge filled with activity as more crew members arrived. Commander Lisa Parker was Jake's second in command. She was smart and tough, and Jake trusted her with his life. Lisa had grown up on a colony world where people had to fight alien creatures just to survive. She knew how to stay calm when things got dangerous. "Captain, what are we dealing with?" Lisa asked as she took her position. 7 alien ships," Jake said. "They are big, and they look like warships. I do not think they are here to say hello." Dr. Karen Bell was the ship's science officer. She was looking at her instruments and shaking her head. "Captain, these ships are using technology I've never seen before. Their hulls appear to be made of some kind of living crystal. The energy readings are incredible." Before Jake could respond, Amy's station lit up with incoming signals. "Captain, they are trying to talk to us," she said. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The front wall of the bridge changed to show the alien ships. They were beautiful in a deadly way. Their hulls were smooth and curved like seashells, but they glowed with strange lights. Weapons ports were clearly visible along their sides. Jake had seen many alien ships, but none as dangerous looking as these. A voice came through the ship's speakers. It was cold and had no emotion in it. The universal translator made it sound almost human, but Jake could hear the alien sounds underneath. "Attention, primitive vessel. This is Fleet Commander Zixthara of the Hegemony Collective. You have entered restricted space without permission. You will surrender your ship immediately, or we will destroy you." Jake looked at Lisa. She raised her eyebrows but did not look scared. Jake was glad she was here. Some captains might panic when faced with 7 warships, but Jake had been in tight spots before. "Open a channel, Amy," Jake said. He stood up straight and faced the screen. "This is Captain Morrison of the United Earthship Defiant. We are on a peaceful scientific mission. We did not know this space belonged to anyone. We will leave as soon as we finish our work here." The alien's response was immediate and harsh. "Deathworlders do not negotiate with the collective. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your crew will serve us or they will die. You have 60 seconds to comply." Jake felt his anger rising. These aliens thought they could just take his ship and his people. They thought humans were weak because they came from only one world. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The word Deathworlder was interesting. Jake had heard it before. Some alien species used it to describe humans because Earth was more dangerous than most worlds. Most planets that had intelligent life were calm places with gentle weather and few predators. Earth was different. Earth had ice ages and volcanoes and storms that could destroy entire cities. Earth had predators with teeth like knives and diseases that could kill millions. Humans had survived all of that and more. "Sir, what are your orders?" Lisa asked quietly. Jake studied the alien formation on the tactical display. The 7 ships were moving into position to surround the Defiant. They were being careful and professional about it. These aliens had done this many times before. They probably thought this would be easy. "All hands battle stations," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill. Prepare for combat." Red lights flashed throughout the ship as the crew prepared for war. Jake sat back down in his captain's chair and watched the alien ships get closer. The Defiant was outnumbered 7-1. On paper, this fight was hopeless. But Jake Morrison had not survived 15 years in deep space by giving up when things looked bad. "Amy, record a message and send it back to Earth Command," Jake said. "Tell them we have made contact with a hostile alien force called the Hegemony Collective. Tell them these aliens are aggressive and they think humans are slaves to be captured." "Yes, sir, recording now," Amy said. Jake looked at the alien ships one more time. They were almost in position to attack. The alien commander probably thought this would be over in a few minutes. He probably thought the primitive human ship would surrender without a fight. "Commander Parker, transfer all power to weapons and shields," Jake ordered. "Dr. Bell, I need you to scan those ships and find their weak points. Amy, keep that channel open. I want to talk to their commander again." The bridge crew worked quickly and efficiently. These people had trained together for years. They trusted each other and they trusted their captain. Jake felt proud of them. If this was going to be their last fight, they would make it a good one. The alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. "Your time is up, Deathworlder. Surrender now or face the consequences." Jake stood up and smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Amy, tell the alien commander that Captain Morrison has a message for him." "Channel open, sir," Amy said. Jake looked directly at the screen where the alien ships waited. "This is Captain Morrison. I have a counteroffer for you." "Turn your ships around and leave our space right now. If you do that, nobody has to get hurt today." There was silence for a moment. Then the alien commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your single primitive ship against our fleet. You amuse me, Deathworlder. Begin the attack." The first energy blast lit up space as the alien ships opened fire. Jake gripped his chair and prepared to show these aliens what Deathworlders could really do. The first alien weapons hit the Defiant like green lightning. The ship shook hard and Jake felt the deck move under his feet. Sparks flew from some of the control panels, but the main systems kept working. The Defiant was built tough because space was a dangerous place for humans. "Damage report," Jake called out as another wave of energy blasts struck his ship. "Shields holding at 70%, reported Lieutenant Hayes from the weapons station. "Hull damage is minimal, sir. These alien weapons are powerful, but our shields are designed to handle energy attacks." Jake nodded. Human ships were built different from most alien vessels. Most alien species had evolved on peaceful worlds where the biggest danger was bad weather. Humans came from Earth where everything wanted to kill them. Human ships were built like human cities with thick walls and multiple backup systems for everything important. Dr. Bell was studying her instruments with excitement. "Captain, this is fascinating. The alien weapons are some kind of focused plasma beam. Very advanced, but they are designed to overwhelm energy shields through sustained bombardment. Our shield design is completely different from what they expect." "What do you mean different?" Lisa asked as she held onto her station during another impact. "Most alien shields work by absorbing energy and redirecting it," Dr. Bell explained. "Our shields work by deflecting attacks and spreading the impact across the entire shield grid. These aliens have probably never seen anything like our technology." Jake listened while he watched the tactical display. The 7 alien ships were moving in a complex pattern around the Defiant. They were trying to hit his ship from multiple directions at the same time. It was a good strategy if you were fighting most alien ships, but the Defiant was not most ships. "Amy, are you getting any more communication from their commander?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir, he is talking to his other ships. The translator is having trouble with some of the words, but I think he is confused about why we have not surrendered yet," Amy said. Jake smiled. These aliens thought they knew everything about humans because they had some old information. They probably thought human ships were primitive and weak. They were about to learn the truth about Deathworld engineering. "Lieutenant Hayes, what is the status of our weapons?" Jake asked. "All railgun batteries are charged and ready, sir. We have a full load of missiles in all tubes. Nuclear warheads are armed and standing by," Hayes reported, the alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. He sounded annoyed. "Deathworlder vessel, your shields cannot hold forever. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Jake stood up from his chair and walked to the front of the bridge. The alien ships were beautiful in their own way. Their hulls looked like they were made of colored glass and they moved through space like dancers. But Jake had learned long ago that beautiful things could be just as deadly as ugly ones. "Amy, open a channel to all alien ships," Jake said. "Channel open, sir," Amy replied. "This is Captain Morrison. I want to thank you for the demonstration of your weapons. Very impressive. Now let me show you what Deathworld technology can do." Jake turned to his weapons officer. "Lieutenant Hayes, fire all railguns. Target the lead ship." The Defiant shuddered as her main weapons fired. Railguns were simple weapons that used magnetic fields to throw chunks of metal at incredible speeds. They were not as pretty as energy weapons, but they were much more effective against most targets. The tungsten slugs hit the lead alien ship in less than 2 seconds. Jake watched on the main screen as the projectiles punched through the alien shields like they were made of paper. The beautiful crystalline hull cracked and split as the metal slugs tore through it. Atmosphere leaked out of the holes in bright streams. "Impossible," came the shocked voice of the alien commander. "How did your primitive weapons penetrate our shields?" Jake felt a grim satisfaction. Most alien species had forgotten how to fight. Real wars, they relied on energy shields and fancy tactics. Humans had never forgotten that sometimes the best way to solve a problem was to hit it very hard with something heavy. Dr. Bell scanned the damaged ship. "I want to know how badly we hurt them," Jake ordered. "Scanning now, sir. The lead ship has lost atmosphere in 3 compartments. Their main engines are offline and their weapon systems are damaged." "They are no longer a threat," Dr. Bell reported. The remaining 6 alien ships changed their formation. They spread out more and started moving faster. Jake could see they were trying to adapt to weapons they had never faced before. It was smart, but it was also too late. "Commander Parker, bring us around to face the 3 ships on our left side. Amy, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them our weapons are effective against hegemony collective ships." Jake said. The Defiant turned toward the next group of alien vessels. These ships were firing everything they had at the human ship. Green energy beams and glowing projectiles filled the space around them. The alien weapons were impressive, but they were designed to fight other energy-based civilizations. "Shields down to 50%, Lieutenant Hayes reported. "But holding steady, sir." Jake watched the alien ships maneuver. They were fast and their pilots were skilled. Under normal circumstances, they would probably win this fight through superior numbers and firepower. But these were not normal circumstances. These aliens were fighting humans, and humans did not fight fair. "Lieutenant Hayes, prepare missile tubes 1 through 6. Load nuclear warheads," Jake ordered. Lisa looked at him with surprise. "Captain, are you sure?" "Nuclear weapons in close combat like this. These aliens wanted a fight," Jake said. "Let us give them one they will remember." The alien ships continued their attack. Their energy weapons were starting to weaken the Defiant's shields, but Jake was not worried. Human ships carried more than just defensive systems. They carried the tools of war that had been developed on the most dangerous world in the galaxy. Missiles. "Ready, sir," Lieutenant Hayes reported. "Fire all tubes," Jake commanded. 6 nuclear missiles launched from the Defiant toward the alien ships. The missiles were not as fast as the railgun slugs, but they carried much more destructive power. Jake watched as the alien ships tried to shoot down the incoming weapons. Their defensive systems were good, but they were not designed to stop nuclear weapons. The first missile reached its target and exploded in a ball of atomic fire. The alien ship simply vanished in the blast. The second and third missiles hit their targets a moment later. 2 more alien ships were destroyed instantly. The remaining missiles struck the fourth ship, but it managed to survive with heavy damage. The space around the Defiant was now filled with debris from the destroyed alien vessels. Pieces of crystalline hull and alien technology drifted past the bridge windows. Jake felt no joy at the destruction, but he felt satisfaction that his crew was safe. "Status report," Jake called out. 3 alien ships destroyed. 1 heavily damaged and retreating. The lead ship is still disabled. 2 ships remaining in fighting condition, but they are pulling back, Doctor. Bell reported. The alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. This time he sounded different. The cold confidence was gone and replaced by something that might have been fear. "This is impossible. Your species is listed as primitive in our databases. You should not possess such weapons." Jake walked back to his captain's chair and sat down. He was tired, but the fight was not over yet. 2 alien ships were still operational, and he did not trust them to just leave peacefully. "Amy, tell the alien commander that Captain Morrison wants to have another conversation with him," Jake said. "Sir, they are hailing us now," Amy reported. "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. The main display showed the bridge of the alien command ship. Jake could see the alien commander for the first time. He was tall and thin with pale skin that seemed to glow. His eyes were large and dark, and he had too many arms. The alien bridge was damaged, and some of his crew appeared to be injured. "I am Fleet Commander Zixthara," the alien said. His voice was different now, less commanding and more uncertain. "Your weapons technology is far more advanced than our intelligence indicated. Perhaps we can reach an agreement." Jake studied the alien commander. He looked scared, and Jake could understand why. In less than 10 minutes, a single human ship had destroyed most of his fleet. That kind of firepower would shock anyone. "An agreement," Jake said. "That sounds interesting." "What kind of agreement did you have in mind, Commander Zixthara?" Commander Zixthara stared at Captain Morrison through the viewscreen. The alien's large dark eyes showed confusion and something that looked like fear. Jake could see damaged control panels behind the alien commander and crew members who appeared to be hurt. The beautiful crystalline bridge of the alien ship was now scarred by battle damage. "Captain Morrison, I believe there has been a misunderstanding," Zixthara said. His voice was much different now. The cold arrogance was gone and replaced by careful politeness. "Our intelligence about your species appears to be outdated. Perhaps we can discuss this situation like civilized beings." Jake leaned back in his captain's chair and crossed his arms. He had heard this kind of talk before from aliens who suddenly realized they had picked a fight with the wrong humans. When aliens thought they were winning, they were full of demands and threats. When they started losing, they wanted to talk about misunderstandings and civilized behavior. "Commander, I thought we were already discussing this situation," Jake said. "You demanded that my crew and I surrender to become your slaves. I declined your generous offer. Now you want to negotiate. What changed your mind?" The alien commander's skin seemed to grow paler. "Your weapons technology is far more sophisticated than we anticipated. The Hegemony Collective may have made an error in judgment regarding human capabilities." Dr. Bell looked up from her science station. "Captain, I am reading massive internal damage to the alien command ship. Their main engines are operating at only 30% capacity, and their weapon systems are mostly offline. The 2 remaining escort ships are also showing significant damage." Jake nodded, but kept his eyes on the alien commander. "You hear that, Commander Zixthara? My science officer says your ships are in bad shape. That must be embarrassing for someone who was so confident a few minutes ago. Captain, please, the alien said. There is no need for further violence. The collective is willing to recognize this sector as human territory. We will withdraw our forces immediately and there will be no future incidents. Lisa moved closer to Jake's chair. Captain, this could be a trap, she said quietly. They might be stalling for time while they call for reinforcements. Jake had the same thought. Aliens who attacked without warning were not usually trustworthy when they started losing. But Jake also knew that sometimes a defeated enemy could become a useful source of information. Amy, are you detecting any other ships in this area? Jake asked. No, sir. I am scanning on all frequencies, and there are no other vessels within 3 light years of our position. Amy reported. Jake stood up and walked closer to the view screen. He wanted to look directly at the alien commander when he spoke. Commander Zixthara, you said your intelligence about humans was outdated. What exactly did your intelligence tell you about my species? The alien shifted uncomfortably. Our databases indicated that humans were a primitive species with limited technology. You were classified as recent spaceflight civilization with basic energy weapons and simple defensive systems. Your ships were listed as lightly armed exploration vessels. And what about the term Deathworlder? Jake asked. You used that word like it meant something specific. Zixthara's expression became more nervous. Deathworlder is a galactic classification for species that evolved on high-gravity worlds with dangerous environmental conditions. Such species typically develop aggressive tendencies and crude but effective technology. They are usually avoided by more advanced civilizations. Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile, usually avoided. But not always. The collective has had limited contact with Deathworld species in the past, the alien admitted. Most such encounters involved primitive beings with stone tools and basic firearms. We did not expect to find Deathworlders with railgun technology and nuclear weapons. Dr. Bell looked excited despite the dangerous situation. Captain, this is incredible. We are getting a glimpse into how galactic civilization views humanity. They think we are primitive but dangerous like wild animals. Jake kept his attention on the alien commander. Commander Zixthara, how many Deathworld species has the collective encountered? Perhaps a dozen over the past 1,000 years, Zixthara replied. Most were conquered easily once we understood their limitations. A few were left alone on their homeworlds as long as they did not venture into space. And what happened to the ones that were conquered? Jake asked. The alien hesitated before answering. They were relocated to worlds more suitable for their primitive nature. Many became useful workers in our mining operations. Lisa stepped forward with anger in her voice. You made them slaves, just like you tried to do to us. The collective provides purpose and direction to less advanced species, Zixthara said defensively. It is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Jake felt his own anger rising. These aliens had been conquering and enslaving other species for centuries. They thought they were doing their victims a favor by putting them to work in alien mines and factories. Jake had met slavers before and he hated them all. Commander, I want you to understand something very clearly, Jake said. Humans are not like the other Deathworld species you have encountered. We did not just develop crude weapons and aggressive tendencies. We developed science and industry and the ability to turn entire planets into weapons if necessary. The alien commander's eyes grew even larger. You would destroy planets. We would do whatever was necessary to protect our people, Jake replied. That is what it means to be human. We do not give up and we do not surrender and we do not become anyone's slaves. Jake turned to Lieutenant Hayes. What is the status of our weapon systems? All systems fully operational, sir. Railguns recharged and ready. We have plenty of missiles remaining, Hayes reported. Jake looked back at the alien commander. Commander Zixthara, you have 2 choices. You can take your remaining ships and leave this sector immediately. Or you can continue this fight and discover just how dangerous humans can be when we are properly motivated. The alien was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see him thinking about his options. 2 damaged ships against 1 human vessel that had already proven its superiority. The choice should have been obvious, but aliens did not always think the same way humans did. "Captain Morrison," Zixtara finally said, "if we withdraw from this sector, will you guarantee safe passage for my surviving crew members?" "As long as you leave immediately and never come back, I have no interest in pursuing you," Jake replied. "But if I ever see collective ships in human space again, the conversation will be much shorter," the alien nodded slowly. "Understood. We will begin our withdrawal immediately." Jake was about to respond when Amy called out from her station. "Captain, I am detecting new signals. Multiple ships approaching fast from the direction of the galactic core." "They are big, sir, and there are a lot of them." Jake felt his blood run cold. More collective ships were coming, and this time there might be too many to fight. He looked at the tactical display and saw 12 new contacts moving toward their position at maximum speed. "Commander Zixtara," Jake said, "are those your reinforcements?" The alien commander looked genuinely surprised. "No, Captain Morrison, those are not collective ships. I do not recognize those energy signatures." Diarbel was studying her instruments with growing alarm. "Captain, whoever these new ships belong to, they are much larger than the collective vessels. And they are moving faster than anything should be able to move in normal space." Jake made a quick decision. "Commander Zixtara, it looks like we have a mutual problem. Are you willing to share information about these new arrivals?" The alien commander hesitated, then nodded. "Agreed, Captain. Enemy of my enemy and all that." Jake hoped he was not making a terrible mistake. But 12 unknown ships approaching at impossible speeds was a threat that might require all the help he could get, even help from aliens who had just tried to enslave his crew. "Amy, patch Commander Zixtara into our tactical network." "Dr. Bell, I want everything you can tell me about those approaching ships. Lisa, prepare the crew for the possibility of a running fight." The bridge filled with activity as the crew prepared for what might be an even more dangerous encounter. Jake stood in the center of it all and wondered what other surprises the galaxy had in store for the human race. The 12 unknown ships appeared on the edge of sensor range like ghosts materializing from the void. Jake studied the tactical display with growing concern. Each vessel was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest collective ship. They moved in perfect formation with a precision that spoke of advanced coordination systems. "Dr. Bell, what can you tell me about these new arrivals?" Jake asked, while keeping his eyes on the approaching fleet. "Captain, their technology is unlike anything in our databases," Dr. Bell reported. "The energy signatures suggest they are using some form of exotic matter propulsion. That would explain how they are moving so fast. Their hulls appear to be composed of multiple layers of unknown materials." Commander Zixtara's voice came through the communication link. "Captain Morrison, those ships match descriptions from our oldest records. I believe they belong to the Void Hunters." Jake had never heard that name before, but he did not like the sound of it. "Commander, tell me everything you know about these Void Hunters." The alien commander was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a fear that Jake had not heard before. "The Void Hunters are ancient, Captain Morrison. They are older than the collective and far more dangerous. Our historians say they once ruled a vast empire, but they disappeared from known space over 10,000 years ago." "What do they want?" Jake asked. "No one knows for certain," Zixtara replied. "The old records say they harvest entire civilizations. They take everything of value and leave empty worlds behind. Planets, technology, entire species simply vanish when the Void Hunters arrive." Lisa moved to Jake's side. "Captain, if these Void Hunters are as dangerous as the commander says, maybe we should consider working together. At least until we understand what we are dealing with." Jake nodded. He did not trust Zixtara, but the approaching fleet was a threat that dwarfed their previous conflict. Sometimes survival required working with former enemies. "Commander Zixtara, are your ships capable of combat?" Jake asked. "My command ship has limited weapons capability," the alien replied. The two escort vessels can still fight, but they are damaged. Captain, I must be honest with you. If these are truly Void Hunters, then our combined forces may not be sufficient to survive this encounter. The unknown ships continued their approach. Jake could see them more clearly now on the main view screen. They were black as space itself, with hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometric patterns covered their surfaces, and Jake could see weapon ports that looked large enough to destroy planets. "Amy, are you receiving any communication from the approaching ships?" Jake asked. "Nothing, sir," Amy reported. "They are maintaining complete communication silence? I have tried all standard frequencies and several non-standard ones. Either they cannot hear us or they are choosing not to respond." Dr. Bell looked up from her science station with alarm. "Captain, detecting some kind of scanning beam? These ships are examining us with technology I do not understand. The scans are incredibly detailed. They are mapping our hull composition, our internal systems, even our crew complement." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Advanced aliens. Scanning his ship was never a good sign. Usually it meant they were looking for weaknesses before they attacked. "Lieutenant Hayes, what is our weapon status?" Jake asked. "All systems ready, sir," Hayes replied. "But Captain, if these Void Hunter ships are as advanced as they appear, our weapons may not be effective against them." Jake knew Hayes was probably right, but giving up without a fight was not an option. Humans had survived on Earth by fighting creatures much larger and stronger than themselves. If these Void Hunters wanted a battle, they would get one, the lead. Void Hunter ships suddenly changed course and moved directly toward the Defiant. It was massive and silent and somehow more frightening than anything Jake had ever seen. As it approached, Jake could see details on its hull that made his skin crawl. The geometric patterns were not decorations. They were symbols that seemed to shift and move when he looked at them directly. "Captain, the lead ship is slowing down," Dr. Bell reported. "It is taking position directly in front of us at a distance of 10,000 kilometers. Jake stood up from his captain's chair. 10,000 kilometers was close range for a space battle. Whatever these aliens wanted, they were not trying to hide their intentions. "All hands, this is the captain," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We are facing an unknown alien force of superior size and technology. All crew members are to remain at battle stations until further notice." The Void Hunter ship hung in space like a piece of the night sky that had broken free from the stars. Jake could feel the weight of its attention focused on his small vessel. Then, without warning, a voice filled the bridge of the Defiant. The voice did not come through the communication system. It came from everywhere at once, as if the air itself was speaking. The words were in perfect English, but they carried harmonics that human ears were never meant to hear. "Deathworld vessel, you will prepare for harvesting," the voice said. "Your biological components will be processed for integration into our collective consciousness. Your technological components will be analyzed and cataloged. Resistance will result in immediate termination." Jake felt his anger flare. Another alien species that thought humans were just raw materials to be harvested. These Void Hunters were apparently no different from the collective, despite their advanced technology. "Amy, open all communication channels," Jake ordered. "Full broadcast on every frequency." "Channels open, sir," Amy reported. Jake stood straight and spoke in a voice that carried all the authority of 15 years commanding ships in dangerous space. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiant, representing the human species. We are not raw materials to be harvested. We are not slaves to be taken. We are humans, and we do not surrender to anyone." The response came immediately. The alien voice filled the bridge again with its impossible harmonics. "Your species designation is irrelevant. Your resistance is inefficient. You will comply or you will be terminated." Jake walked to the front of the bridge and stared directly at the massive alien ship. "Here is what I think of your compliance," he turned to his weapons officer. "Lieutenant Hayes, fire all railguns. Target the lead ship." The Defiant shuddered as her main weapons discharged. Tungsten slugs traveling at tremendous velocity crossed the space between the ships in seconds. Jake watched as the projectiles struck the Void Hunter vessel and simply disappeared. There was no explosion, no visible damage, nothing at all to show that the most powerful human weapons had any effect. "Captain, our weapons had no impact," Dr. Bell reported. "It is as if the alien ship absorbed the kinetic energy and dissipated it harmlessly." Jake felt a cold fear settle in his stomach. If human weapons could not damage these ships, then the Defiant and her crew were in serious trouble. But Jake had not survived this long by giving up when things looked hopeless. "Commander Zixtara," Jake called out, "what kind of weapons do your ships carry?" "Plasma cannons and particle beam arrays," the alien commander replied. "But Captain, if you're kinetic weapons had no effect, I doubt our energy weapons will fare any better." The Void Hunter ship began to move closer to the Defiant. Jake could see strange lights beginning to glow along its hull. Whatever weapon system it was preparing to use, Jake was certain he did not want to experience it firsthand. "All hands brace for impact," Jake announced. "Emergency power to shields." The alien voice spoke again. "Final warning, Deathworld vessel. Submit to harvesting or face obliteration." Jake gripped his captain's chair and prepared for what might be his last battle. "This is Captain Morrison. Here is my final answer." He slammed his fist down on the communication panel with enough force to crack the plastic surface. The sound echoed through the bridge like a gunshot. "Come and take us." The Void Hunter ship unleashed its weapons, and Jake Morrison discovered what real alien technology could do. Beams of pure darkness struck the Defiant with force beyond anything he had ever experienced. The ship's shields lasted exactly 3 seconds before they collapsed completely. The hull began to buckle under pressure that seemed to come from every direction at once. "Hull breach on decks 7 and 8, Lisa shouted over the sound of groaning metal. "Emergency bulkheads are sealing, but we are losing atmosphere fast." Jake held onto his captain's chair as the ship shook apart around him. Sparks flew from control panels and the lights flickered on and off. The beautiful bridge of the Defiant was becoming a wreck in real time. "Dr. Bell, can you analyze their weapons?" Jake called out. "Captain, their weapons appear to manipulate space itself," Dr. Bell replied while struggling to stay at her station. "They are creating localized gravity fields that are crushing our hull from the inside out." Jake realized that conventional tactics would not work against these aliens. Their technology was so far beyond human understanding that normal space combat was pointless. But Jake had not become a starship captain by accepting defeat easily. "Amy, patch me through to Commander Zixtara," Jake ordered. "Channel open, sir," Amy replied. "Commander, this is Morrison." "Are your ships capable of faster than light travel?" Jake asked. "Yes, but our jump drives are damaged," Zixtara responded. "We cannot achieve full power." Jake made a desperate decision. "Commander, I want you to take your ships and run. Get back to collective space and warn them about the Void Hunters. Tell them everything you saw here." There was silence for a moment. "Captain, what about your vessel?" the alien commander asked. "We will buy you time to escape," Jake said. "Someone needs to warn the galaxy about these things." Jake could hear the surprise in Zixtara's voice. "Captain Morrison, why would you sacrifice yourself for us? We are enemies." Jake looked around. His damaged bridge at his crew. These people had followed him across the galaxy, and they were about to die because he had led them into a trap. But maybe their deaths could serve a purpose. "Commander, you said the Void Hunters harvest entire civilizations," Jake said. "If they are back after 10,000 years, then every species in the galaxy is in danger. Human, collective, everyone." The Void Hunter ship struck the Defiant again. This time the gravity weapon tore through the hull like paper. Jake felt the deck plates buckle under his feet and heard the sound of atmosphere venting into space. "Captain, the ship cannot take much more of this," Lisa reported. "We have lost power to main engines and weapon systems are failing." Jake walked to the front of the bridge and stared at the massive alien vessel through the cracked viewscreen. The Void Hunter ship was so large it blocked out the stars behind it. Jake could see weapon ports opening along its hull as it prepared to finish. Off the human vessel. Amy, open a channel to the Void Hunter ship, Jake ordered. Sir, they have not been responding to our communications, Amy said. Open it anyway, Jake replied. Jake stood as straight as he could while his ship died around him. He thought about Earth, and all the humans who would never know this threat existed if he failed here. He thought about his crew and how they deserved better than dying in some forgotten corner of space. This is Captain Jake Morrison, he said into the silence. You want to harvest my crew and my ship. You think we are just raw materials for your collection, but you are wrong about humans. The alien voice filled the bridge again. Your defiance is noted and irrelevant. Prepare for final termination, Jake smiled despite everything. You said we are Deathworlders like it was just another classification in your database, but you do not understand what that word really means. The Void Hunter weapons began to charge again. Jake could see energy building along the alien hull like captured lightning. It means we come from a world that has been trying to kill us since the first human drew breath, Jake continued. Ice ages that lasted millions of years. Volcanoes that could destroy continents. Asteroids that could end all life on our planet. Diseases that killed half our population. Predators with claws like swords and teeth like knives. Jake paused and looked directly at the alien ship. And we did not just survive all of that, we conquered it. We turned our death world into a garden and then we reached for the stars. The weapon's discharge struck the Defiant and tore through what remained of her hull. Jake felt the deck disappear under his feet as sections of the ship broke away into space. But somehow the bridge remained intact and the communication system still worked. You harvest civilizations because you think advanced. Technology makes you superior, Jake said as his ship came apart around him. But you forgot the most important lesson in the galaxy. It is not the size of your weapons that matters. It is the strength of your will to use them. Jake turned to Amy, who was still at her station despite the chaos. Amy, activate the self-destruct system. Authorization Morrison Alpha 77. Sir, the self-destruct system was damaged in the attack, Amy reported. I cannot get a response. From the main computer, Jake felt a moment of despair. Even his final gesture of defiance was being denied to him. Then he remembered something and hope returned. Dr. Bell, can you overload the main reactor manually? Jake asked. Dr. Bell looked up from her ruined console. Yes, sir, but I would need to reach the engineering section. The route is blocked by hull breaches. I will go, Lisa said. I know the ship. Better than anyone. Jake grabbed Lisa's arm. Commander, you are not going on a suicide mission, Lisa smiled at him. Captain, with respect, we are all on a suicide mission. At least this way it serves a purpose. Before Jake could stop her, Lisa was running toward the bridge exit. Jake watched her disappear into a corridor filled with smoke and sparks. He knew he would never see her again. The Void Hunter ship moved closer to the Defiant. Jake could see smaller vessels emerging from ports along its hull. Harvesting ships coming to collect what remained of his crew and his vessel. Captain, Amy called out. I am receiving a message from Commander Zixthara. The collective ships have reached minimum. Safe distance for jump. They are requesting final orders. Jake felt proud that the alien commander had kept his word. Tell Commander Zixthara to jump immediately. Tell him to warn everyone he can about the Void Hunters. Message sent, sir, Amy reported. Jake saw flashes of light in the distance as the collective ships jumped to faster than light speed. At least someone would escape to tell the story. The galaxy would know that the Void Hunters had returned. Deep in the ship, Lisa reached the main reactor. The engineering section was a nightmare of twisted metal and leaking plasma. But the reactor core was still intact, and Lisa knew exactly what she needed to do. This is for Jake, she whispered as she began the overload sequence. On the bridge, Jake felt the ship begin to vibrate in a way that meant only one thing. The reactor was building toward an uncontrolled release of energy that would destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers. The alien voice spoke one final time. Deathworld. Vessel, your actions are inefficient and pointless. You cannot harm us with your primitive technology. Jake looked at the massive Void Hunter ship and smiled. You are probably right. But here is something else you should know about Deathworlders. The reactor overload reached critical mass. Jake could feel the energy building in the ship's core, like a caged star preparing to break free. We would rather die fighting than live as slaves, Jake said. And sometimes when Deathworlders die, we take our enemies with us. The UES Defiant exploded in a burst of nuclear fire bright enough to illuminate the entire nebula. The explosion caught the Void Hunter ship at point-blank range, and for the first time in 10,000 years their advanced shields faced the full fury of a human reactor core operating far beyond safe parameters. The alien ship staggered under the impact. Its perfect hull cracked and atmosphere vented into space. Warning lights flashed along its surface as systems that had never failed before suddenly went offline. In the depths of the Void Hunter vessel, ancient minds that had conquered galaxies felt something they had not experienced in millennia. They felt surprise, and for just a moment they felt something that might have been fear. The message was clear. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy, and that announcement was written in nuclear fire. The Void Hunters had harvested countless civilizations, but they had never encountered anything like the species from the small blue world at the edge of known space. Jake Morrison and his crew were gone, but their sacrifice would be remembered. Commander Zixthara kept his promise and carried word of the Void Hunters back to collective space. From there, the warning spread to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The message was simple. The ancient enemy had returned, but they were not invincible. A single human ship had proven that even the most advanced aliens could bleed. And where one human ship had fought, others would follow. The age of easy conquest was over. The Deathworlders had joined the galactic community, and they had brought their own ideas about how wars should be fought. Ideas written in tungsten slugs. And nuclear fire, and the absolute refusal to surrender no matter what the odds. The galaxy would never be the same.